Thank you, INS, for giving me this opportunity to talk about the development of regulations and guidance and the stakeholder participation. What are the things that we are doing at AERB in order to develop these regulations and guidance and to maintain them up to date with the current state-of-art technologies. So the topic given to me is on that line, so I have prepared the presentation with this scope. First, I would be talking about what is the regulations and guidance and what are the actually good attributes of regulations. I would touch upon legal provisions and approaches that we have taken for development of such documents. It's a full spectrum, as we have seen, from X-rays to SMRs, and then technologies from fusion to fission to fusions and all sort of things. So it's a full gamut, and in order to fulfill our responsibilities, we must have some sort of systemic approach. So I will be dealing with that. And approach is decided by some of the strategies and strategic directions that has to be followed, and it takes process, various steps that it was mentioned in that one of the presentation that IAEA has a 14 steps process. So we do have such kind of a detailed process, so I will give some glimpse of the process. Then what are we doing as a part of our activity towards the stakeholder participation in development of these documents? I will be dealing with that. Most of the things was talked about by Garg sir in his presentation. So I will give the actual thing that we have done on this front. And we have developed this regulatory strategic plan. We are talking in this conference about the nuclear renaissance and regulatory framework. So we have a task cut out at our end. What we have been doing since the inception of our program, and we were actually, transiting to come to some sort of a long-term plan, and then we are challenged with this new, operating scenarios, like there are new entrant that is coming into picture, there are new technologies that are coming into pictures. So along with that, whatever we have planned and how we have to augment that, so I will be talking about that. Mainly, I will talk about harmonization of the overarching regulations and regulatory readiness for the Bharat small reactors and Bharat small modular reactors that we have been talking about. And at the end, I will give some sort of a summary. So to begin with, this regulations and guidance, we talk that so many things are being talked, like IAEA is doing this thing, USNRC, CNSC is doing this thing. Everybody is focused about their own business. We are actually trying to see what best we can do in order to develop our documents such that it fulfills all these important elements. So I will touch upon that in due course of time during my presentations. So if we run through this, we can see that this is consistent with the legal framework. We may have very good, ideas or thinking, but whatever at the end of the day, we have to fulfill all those activities in the legal framework. We cannot, go beyond what is legally empowered to us. Our other challenge is that we have to meet with the local legal requirement. At the same time, we are actually obliged to do certain things at international level. So we are keeping track of both the current state of art, current approaches being followed at international level. But at the same time, we have to be in this legal framework that is given to us. Another element of regulation is that it should be clear and unambiguous, because it's a business. At the end of the day, people say that government has no business in doing business, but we should have our own business, and that business is that our regulatory expectations should be very clear to the applicant so that they can derive the maximum benefit of this program. At the same time, we keep our focus on protecting people and environment. Another thing is that whatever requirements that we are formulating, it should be well-founded and well-discussed. it should be appropriate and balanced. It has to be relevant and updated, and ultimately it should be implementable and enforceable. So keeping these attributes into mind, we develop our regulations as well as the guidance. Now, what are the legal provisions that we have in doing this? So everybody knows that it is the Atomic Energy Act 1962 that confers powers and responsibilities for framing rules to Government of India. Then AERB came into existence in 1983 to an order which is popularly known as 4772. It's a constitution order of AERB. Then we have set of rules developed over a period of time. I would like your attention to see that it is 1983 and then subsequent revisions of these rules. It was something is predated of existence of AERB, like radiation protection rules, which initially came in 1971, which got revised in 2004. So point I am highlighting is that when we develop this document and we try to have that attribute in our mind that it should be with a legal framework. So we are having this challenge that legal frameworks is keep on changing. Just to give an example, like Atomic Energy Act 1962, it gives that section 23 is to be promulgated by AERB. It is on Factories Act sort of thing that has been enacted in 1948. So after that, in 2020, another revision of that code has come, which is Occupational Safety, Health, Working Conditions and Code, which has come in 2020. Now our constitution order, if you see, it is 1983, so it will talk about 1948 Act. Then we have framed rules in Factories Rule, which came in 1996. So point I am highlighting is that it is easier said than done. We develop document and then some of the document will be meeting one of the legal requirement, but when you look at some other point of time, there is a natural tendency to have some inconsistencies. So that is why we have prepared a regulatory strategic plan to come up with all these issues. I will be highlighting some of them in my presentation. So what approach we are taking for developing these regulations and guidance is that we are governed by the fundamental safety objective, that is to protect people and environment for harmful effects of ionizing radiation. Now this looks okay for other countries because we are only concise ourselves from the ionizing radiation. But for India, it is non-ionizing radiation effects also is to be taken into account because industrial safety is given to AERB. So we have another set of documents which are talking about industrial safety aspects also in addition to radiation safety and nuclear safety. So when we have fundamental safety objective, next point is that we should convert this objective into fundamental safety principles. So this job is very well done by IAEA. They have a fundamental document that is SF1 and that describes 10 different principles which has to be applied in entirety. Using those principles, we have to develop these safety requirements, and these are, as IAEA has also said, that it is basically a national requirements developed based on the concept of tolerability of risk of a particular nation, the kind of a culture that every countries have. So keeping that into account and having a sovereignty into act, IAEA also says that you must use our document as a reference document and you develop your own national documents accordingly. So you would find that some differences in safety requirements are coming when it comes to a national requirements. So such kind of issues we take up when we engage with our counters, our peers, international peers like CNSC. We have bilateral agreements with them and we take some of the issues which are of mutual interest to us, and then we discuss and try to find out what is the best practice in understanding some of the thing which IAEA has included in their standards. As I mentioned, IAEA safety standards are global reference for the protecting people and environment, and every member states develop their own national requirements. To take example of this structure, this is a whole structure which was talked about by one of the speaker in the morning, Kailas ji. He has presented this structure in a wheel format. Actually, this structure was developed in 2008, and good thing is that IAEA has taken up, we are talking about Renaissance. So they are also going to change this structure in a very short span. Maybe in 2023 to 2026, they are thinking about it. And I will be presenting one of the slide where we are also, going through paradigm shift in our entire corpus of the documents that we have been dealing with it. So here it is very simple. There are 7 generic safety requirements documents, and then specificity is mentioned in this another box, that is technology specific thing. So if you see, there is a siting document which is coming in SS, which is for nuclear installation. Now, what do we have? A similar document. One thing is good that it is a global standard, but when we look at siting related aspects from radiation installations, we don't find any document straight away talking about that. So we have to enhance the scope when we talk about radiation facility siting related aspects. Another thing you could note is that number 2 is safety of nuclear power plant design. So it is nuclear power plant. So as Vijay sir was asking, everything is large size reactors, land based reactors, and then we are talking about SMRs. They are also nuclear reactors. But even in large size reactor, IAEA does not have a specific requirement document for that. But in India, as AERB, we have developed design specific codes. One is applicable to LWR based NPPs. We have PHWR, that is our mainstay. We have developed a design requirement for PHWRs. We are in making of design requirement for the SFR based NPPs also. So following this type of, looking at IAEA, but not actually implementing everything what they say, that has really helped us, because chairman attended this apex body meeting in IAEA, and when this topic came for changing their structures, we have given some of our inputs to them. I would highlight one of them, that is number 6, which is transport regulation. So they have kept it as a specific requirements. However, we thought that transport is applicable to any facility or any activity. So it has to come as a generic safety requirement. So in lockdown period, we have taken this time to dwell upon all these things. We have 160 documents that we have published. So we have dwelled upon all these issues, and we thought that we should have a structure where we can segregate them into thematic areas which are applicable to all the facilities and activities, and some of them could be a specific requirements and guidance document that can come in that series. So I will give one slide on that. Now, as I said in the beginning, all the thing that we do, it should have a strategic direction, otherwise there could be a problem. And this we have seen it because we have started developing documents since 1980s. So initially AERB has multi-tier review approach where there are multiple safety committees. They were dealing with different subjects. There are design ACCGD, they were having design related document development. So that includes code, standards, everything. And there are another committee, they will look for the operation series. Similarly, different type of committees were there. So because timeline were different, as I said, legal provisions were different, people were different, and the structure were different. So naturally it has come into some sort of a inconsistency. So to deal with this situation, we have come with, let us say, sort of a hierarchy of our regulations. So as we see that acts and rule at the highest level, then we do have some provisions available to us where we can notify some of the rules, some of the activities. We can have orders passed, or we can issue directives. So these are all legal provisions available to us. So as we know that accident keep on happening. Now this document development takes long time. So it may run into 5, 6 years also, and if we have some requirement to be passed on to a general audience, then these are some of the tools that we use it, and when the time comes, we revise it. At that time, we make use of those things which are contained in these elements, like directives and orders and notifications. Then another strategic direction is a category, because from our experience we have learned that different committees have developed the document. So some documents are contain legal language that are not supposed to be there in that particular thing because it was included in manual. Some of the code, they were giving some guidance. So all those things were there. So we decided that we should have a specific category of these documents, and the content should be defined as per the categorization of that type of document. Another problem that we had is that AERB was initially having a mandate of only safety aspects. Later on in 2000, some of the activities related to security aspects which are having a bearing on safety, that also has been given to AERB. So we started developing some of the requirement documents for nuclear security also. So now we have segregated, we have reg docs, those are applicable from safety, and those are applicable for security. And then we also have a mandate of seeing that there are interfaces between safety and security, so that also has to be taken into account. So that start at the beginning of the process itself, and at the time of publications also this is being looked into, that they don't compromise each other, because there are some requirements which are conflicting in both safety as well as security. Now, in couple of slides, I would dwell upon various elements of the process of regulatory document that we develop. So this is planning phase, where this reg doc development plan is prepared. So this input collection is a continuous process. We have seen from various angles that regulation actually comprises of 4 elements, that is document development, safety review and assessment, and we do licensing for it, and then regulatory inspections, and if there are some non-conformances observed, then we take enforcement. So for all these processes has to be integrated. So input has to come from all these processes, as well as document should give direction in conducting those processes. So it is an interactive two-way process. So we collect all these required inputs related to regulatory documents through this process, and it is a continuous process. And once we collect this input at a periodic, at some periodicity, we review these inputs, and we align with the requirements of the nodal divisions, that they require some new document is to be developed, or an existing document needs any amendment or a revision. So based on this, because document development requires resources, so we need to get their approval, and from the management. Management also must know what are the type of changes that are being talked about. Is it really worth allocating such resources? So this is what is a plan stage, where everything is done in a systematic manner. It goes through various process steps, and ultimately this is given to a steering committee of AERB, which is headed by chairman, and all the divisional heads are part of it. They see in totality this document development plan, and once the plan is approved by chairman AERB, the ultimate outcome is that constitution of RDG, RRG. Basically it is a reg doc development group and reg doc revision group, and on top of it there is a specialist group. They look after the review part.
You may skip the details because of time limitation.
We have to catch the time. Okay. So as request came from Bansalji, I will skip some of them. It's a long and lengthy process, and if you compare it with IAEA has a 14-step process. We have 18-step process, and the graded approach is what Vivek has mentioned in previous lecture is very well there. You could see in the next slide. We are engaging stakeholders for obtaining their comments and suggestions, and in this process ACNRS plays a very vital role because a lot of rich experience is there with those members, and we make use of that experience and revise the document, keeping into view of that experience. Here you can see the graded approach here. When it comes to safety codes and safety standards, we have two review level which are executed. One is a legal review and other is a public review. While in safety guides and manuals, we don't have that reviews. And board also comes into picture when it comes to safety codes and standards. Stakeholder participation, because I have to rush through, so I will not speak much on this. I will just highlight the basic idea for this stakeholder participation. It is building trust, demonstrating the accountabilities, exhibiting the openness and transparency in our process, and as well as regarding the interest and concerns of our stakeholders. So, in this process, earlier we were using only in the form of taking their feedback on our documents while developing or on the published document. But as a recent initiative, AERB, when we were restructuring the entire document structure for radiation facilities, you can see that now all the practices are covered by our safety guides. So we thought it is a good idea to interact with the stakeholders on one-on-one. We invited them for such kind of programs. Some of them has been conducted and few are planned. So we could understand that they have concern about our regulatory requirements. In that also, as Vijay sir has said, even in that spectrum, we could see that there are requirements of different kind. Now, in order to fulfill those concerns, while addressing one party, we may have to think about if it should not, collaterally affect the other interest. And at the same time, we should not lose focus about, protecting people and environment. So we do hear them. Some of them, their inputs could be, driven by their own profit-making kind of things. But we take them as our input and try to see that without compromising safety, if we can facilitate them, we can definitely accommodate those concerns. Now, couple of slides I would like to talk about this regulatory strategic plan that we have made, which we will be executing from January 2025. So as we have seen that we have developed till now 160 plus regulatory safety documents. 135 they are published before 2014. So this is our catchment area. We are really focusing on revision of this document because some of them are really outdated. 31 are already taken up under revisions, so they will have business as usual. 39 are getting subsumed because of the structure alignment that I will be speaking now. And 65 are the documents that requires a campaign revision in next 5 years. So without disturbing the regulatory core activities that is being done by our colleagues, some question came that renaissance we are talking about, expansion we are talking about, how you will induct this regulatory stuff. These are our another challenge, like we are harmonizing our regulatory requirements and we are also challenged by this sort of changes that is coming into for us to consider. So this is a long-term structure we have prepared. On the top it is the safety regulation document. As IAEA has a fundamental safety document, we have this code which will talk about the regulatory aspects, safety aspects, security aspects, industrial safety aspects, and aligning with the new and emerging technology. What all we need to do, they will be covered in this particular document. And down the line, we have segregated them on thematic basis or specific basis, and this is how we are planning to align our regulatory documents. So some of the documents which are currently put under some series, that will get aligned with this new structure. And this transition will happen in next 5 years. So after that, everything, all documents are in that place, and then we are planning to have a periodic review and revision program that is to be established from 2030 onwards. And that will address our problem of inconsistency and all those good attributes that I have talked about. We will be able to maintain them up to date in line with all those attributes. So with this plan, we are going ahead, and this plan was prepared in March 2024, and then all this talk started about India is planning to go for BSR, BSMR. So we need to, and the new entrant will come, they will come in a public-private participation mode. So we have to rethink our regulatory requirements, our way of regulations, and everything, whatever we do, that has to be reflected in our documents. So as a priority, we have taken up this harmonization exercise on the overarching regulations. So some of them I have listed. One is a code, safety code on regulations, which was there on the top, that red one. We were planning to issue it, but then because of all these new challenges that we have been listening in this this conference, we will be including them into that overarching regulations. Then we have a citing requirements that need to be looked into. This code was published in 2014, and now we have published this emergency preparedness and response code, which has come in 2022. So almost a decade passed. So we need to have some ensuring the coherency between those zones that has been defined in these two documents. We have a design code on LWR based NPP published just after Fukushima, and that included all the stringent requirements. Now we are using those experiences in revising our PHWR safety code, which was published in 2009. And then similar line, we are also developing this SFR based design code. They are very advanced stage, I would say, and soon it will be released. We have safety code on operation that is also undergoing review. So the point I'm making here is that through this plan, we have a process by which we will be harmonizing our overarching regulations that will enable AERB to regulate the potential new entrant, such as joint ventures and licenses under public-private partnership model. And at the same time, that emerging technologies that we have listened in the morning, there are 80 SMR designs. So we have boxed them into different type of coolant-based, design-based, fuel-based, and how our regulations will be catering to such kind of requirements in the future decades that will come. So as a part of our readiness of the SMR, we have talked about various elements. IAEA safety standards, as they are doing that activity of reviewing their own standards for seeing the applicability of those standards which were primarily prepared for LWR technology. So whether they can be applied to non-water-cooled reactors, whether they can be applied for SMR, similar sort of exercise we have also undertaken. We are part of IAEA team. They have created two different tracks. One is a regulatory track and other is the industry track, and we are participating into it. We are also having bilateral agreements with our counter peers, with international regulatory agencies. So all these activities is going on. As the technology will come, we will be, we have experience of developing such regulation and coping with a new technology, as mentioned by the Utkarsh, that, when KK came, we have, successfully, migrated to develop such kind of documents over there. Another example is that fast breeder reactor technology. So in 1990, we have developed the safety criteria document, and now we are developing a safety code. So probably similar approach we will be taking for BSR and BSMRs also. Initially we will have an interim regulatory criteria, and based on some experience of regulations, we will be updating those criteria documents into a long-term design requirements. So this is what I was planning to complete in my presentation. So as a part of summary, AERB develops this regulatory requirements and guidance for all facilities and activities under its purview, specifically applying the graded approach. if we want to see the objectivity of our regulatory documents, they are developed such that the radiation exposure to people and environment are controlled and optimized. Likelihood of events that might lead to core melt accidents is limited, and consequences, if they are not arrested, then we will have some sort of mitigatory measures where to the extent possible we will try to see that utility in a position to by fulfilling our requirements they will be addressing those concerns which are there in public domain. AERB has developed this strategic direction which guides us in doing our business in developing and maintaining the documents. We have also taken some initiative that will help us keeping ourselves ready to the inclusion of new entrant and emerging technologies. So not saying anything much. Actually, this is a slide I really liked it. It's one of my mentors. He's sitting here, Sri Chande sir. When I joined in 2000, this was a slide he made some presentation. I really liked it. This is what AERB means. We are protecting people and environment, and this is the mantra that we have. If it matters, it should not happen, and if it happens, it should not matter. So thank you for patient listening. This is what I wanted to cover.